Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Empowered to Thrive. I'm your host, Corinne Powell, and I'm the owner of Change Radically. In this space, we'll talk all things inner wellness, and parenting will certainly come up too. Because I'm a mom to 4 kids, so parenting is a huge part of my life. This space is designed for safety. Your inner child is welcome. Your past self is invited to listen as well. And no matter what type of day you're having, I want you to know I'm glad to be with you. I live out of vulnerability and transparency, so come and be. Be yourself. Be messy. Invite a friend and please stay a while. Keep coming back. I want you around. Now, let's jump into today's episode. I'm really excited to have Autumn Nyby here with me today. She's a professional organizer and owner of Space for Living Organizing. She's on a quest for organization that emphasizes practicality over perfection and joyful living over clutter. She focuses on making busy lives and cluttered homes more efficient and livable. When she's not organizing, she's running after her 3 kids or chatting it up with her best friend Bethany on A to B podcast. So I love it. Practicality over perfection, joyful living. Yeah, we are aligned in that way. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to talk organizing, all things organizing.
Yes, I know I'm going to learn something and we're all going to learn something. So maintaining, systems to maintain. I'm sure there's some people thinking, but I'm not even organized. So I'm not even there. So if you have a word for those that haven't started,
yes,
but I am interested also to hear the systems we can put in place.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just knowing where to start. And so I always say start small, especially when I'm working with busy clients. They tend to overextend in all areas. So instead of just pulling everything out of your closet and then you look up an hour later, everything's on your bed and all over the floor and your closet's empty. And you're like, well, I am done organizing. That sounds horrible. So we're just going to start super small. And I had this thing I started a while ago, which is 10-minute Tuesdays. So you just carve out 10 minutes of your day on Tuesdays because it's, alliteration, but you just carve out 10 minutes, no matter what time that is, once a week. You pick a super small space. So a drawer in your kitchen, a shelf in your linen closet, you set your timer and you just work for 10 minutes. And so you're kind of focused, there's a limit time, you're not doing it all day. So it feels a lot more manageable and not so overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do just a small block of organizing, just grab 3 containers, a trash bag, and then the most important thing is a to-do list, because you're always going to want to get distracted. Okay, so if you think of something you want to do, write it on the piece of paper and then keep focused on that 10 minutes. And that's so nice because the 10 minutes, it's short, and so you can stay focused. And so you're going to have piles. So trash, that's the trash bag. You're going to have 3 other containers. So a giveaway or a donation, however you want to think about it, a put elsewhere container, and then a keep container, all the things that you want to keep in this specific space. So you have things that you want to keep, but it maybe doesn't go in this kitchen drawer. So you're going to put it in the put elsewhere bin. And I think when you're organizing, the one place people get hung up is making a decision. So they want to grab something. They don't know what to do with it. They don't want to think about it. So they grab something else, but you really want to focus on making a decision. So try to put it in a pile, make that decision before you pick up something new. So you're not just well, I don't know. You really, a lot of times the clutter in our house is just kind of delayed decisions, things that, I'll think about this and I'll put it here. And then you just didn't decide what you wanted to do with it. So it started to become clutter. So this really kind of forces you to put it in to where it goes. And then from there, it becomes really easy. You throw away your trash, you sort the keep stuff into different like by like categories. You grab a container, something that you have on hand. I love if it's a drawer, I love shoebox lids or people don't have checkbooks, but the checkbook boxes that checks used to come in, just, random phone boxes that your phone came in, just random little boxes. And those can be your dividers. and you don't have to go out and buy stuff. Just kind of use what you have. And then you take your put elsewhere pile and you put things like where they should go. And if you come across like, oh, I'm going to put it in this drawer, this is where it lives. And you're like, oh, this drawer is a mess. Like, write it on your list. That's next Tuesday. Like, you don't have to do it right then. Some days you do 10 minutes, you're done. Some days it's going to stretch into 30 minutes and you're going to feel great. It just, you kind of have to be flexible in your own weeks and flexible with yourself on what you can do. So 10-minute organizing. We even did a 10-minute challenge on our podcast, on A to B podcasts, where we did like 10 minutes of organizing for 10 days. So you can have fun with it and not be so like, oh my gosh, my pantry has to look like it belongs on Instagram and my refrigerator, and just like focus on the little small stuff, because we all have different levels of what we find is organized enough for us.
Yeah, that's good. Practical. We can all jump in.
Yeah, just 10 minutes and then you can just walk away.
I also like writing it down as we're going, because I just see that scene of like, oh, I put it in this drawer, but this drawer needs to be organized. And then we divert from the one we're working on to the other. And it's just kind of like you said, the pile of things out of the closet. And then you're like, I don't want to do anymore.
Right. That sounds horrible. Nobody wants to do that.
Right. Write it down, get to it another day, or get to it when you have that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't that something I always kind of go back to thinking about kids? And that's something we're trying to keep, like, teach our kids, is how to stay focused. And what are those strategies? Like, hey, I told you to go put your shoes on and you went and started playing. Like, what can we do to stay focused? And like, we have to have that same little pep talk for ourselves. Like, what can we do to stay focused for this 10 minutes? And it is a list bias. And maybe when kids are doing their homework, like, you keep getting distracted, let's write down your ideas that you're coming up with of things you want to do, and you can do them. Obviously this is for older kids, but you could do it later, just like ways to keep ourselves focused. And then we're also teaching that to our kids too.
Yeah. So that feels like that's a starting point, right? That's for the person who doesn't even feel like they've got anything going on as far as organization.
Yeah, just focusing on a small space at a time. I think we can feel overwhelmed when we look at this like beautifully organized space and we think that our home has to look like that. And it doesn't. It's just finding what are those kind of pain points in your home? Where are those areas that you get frustrated? And instead of thinking of it, I think people who feel disorganized, like, look at those pain points and they're, oh, I'm so disorganized. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to start. And just kind of changing that self-talk in your head. And instead of thinking about organizing, think of it more of like problem solving. So, oh, this is a problem in my home. What are some solutions that I could try? Not like, oh, I'm so disorganized, but really focusing on that problem solving part of it. And then that helps you think of, you're trying out solutions. Like, so you might try one thing and it doesn't work and you're like, oh, I'm so disorganized. Like, no, you tried one solution. Let's try a different one. Let's see if this one works a little bit better. I do that all the time with clients and then also with myself. Oh, I tried to put my kids' shoes in a bin because they didn't know how to line them up perfectly on a shoe rack. Okay, so the bin didn't work because then there were shoes all over the floor when they needed shoes. Okay, well then how about we do their nice shoes on a shoe rack, and then we do just their most worn 2 pairs in a bin. And so then they can just throw them in. It worked. It wasn't like, oh, my kids are so awful. I'm so disorganized. I'm a horrible parent. We just have to focus on that like problem solving idea and a little less on the, I have to get everything organized and perfect.
Yes.
Because I think people who are disorganized sometimes, I mean, there's a wide variety, but a lot of it is perfectionism getting in the way, because we think, oh, I can't do it to make it look so great, so I'm just gonna not do it. And that perfectionism kind of stops us from even trying anything. So if we kind of move that to the side, think of ourselves as problem solvers or detectives, we can do that.
Yeah.
I think if we go back to talking about, you feel like you're not an organized person, and how can you still feel like you can get organized? I really like this question, because a lot of times the clients that call me, we go in and they say, I'm disorganized. And I ask them to give me a tour of their home. And so they take me around. And
Mhm.
I love pointing out all the ways that they're organized that they just don't see because it's just kind
Aw.
of like every day. So it can be as simple as like your silverware is in the silverware. Like that's all organized. You know exactly where the forks are. It's not usually that simple. I'm just giving an example, but it can be really simple ways. It's just usually there's like one disorganized aspect of their home that kind of just takes all their attention. So once we kind of look to see the ways that they are organized, then we kind of build on that. So, like for instance, they are great at piling. That's really what you're doing when you're sorting things. So then you just kind of work with the piles that they already create around their home. And so, for instance, if you have a pile in your entryway of all your errands or your returns that you need to do, and it's on your entryway, but it kind of looks cluttered. Like just getting it to the entryway is actually organized because a lot of people could be all over their house and they miss that part. Like that's organized. It's all in one spot. It's ugly, but it's all in one spot. So then we take those and we just get a bin, something cute, something that goes with their decor. And you say, okay, this is my errand bin and everything goes in there. And then you label it. And then that's organized. Like it's as simple as that. And if you're a visual person and if it's in a bin, you're going to forget about it. Like you get a really shallow basket or even like a tray that things can sit on. So it's contained. This is the errands, and that container with a label is going to help your entry just stay less cluttered because then people don't see it as like a dropping zone. And so a lot of it is just creating spaces in your home throughout every room that's like, this is where this lives. And so once you get an idea of where it lives, it helps with the clutter. We recently moved into our house last summer, and my husband was like to one of my kids, like, hey, put this away. Like these things need to be put away. I'm like, they don't know where that lives because it really doesn't have a home yet in our house. And so there's stuff everywhere because I hadn't created homes yet. And once we're like, okay, this is where your toys go, like maybe we don't have a spot for it in your room, but your toys go in your room right now and there's a mess on the floor, but that's just how it is because we just moved in.
Yeah.
Like that's just where the space is. So your family can't help you clean up uh, until you're able to create spaces. That doesn't mean you have to be the one to create the spaces on your own. Like, where do we like, hey, family, where do we think this should live? How would be easier for you? Like it can be a family activity, but just creating those spaces really help to clear the clutter. And maybe in that space, it's a mess for now until you get to your 10-minute Tuesday cleanup session, but it's in that area, like your errands are in that area.
Yes. Okay. All right. So what you're saying is bringing up a question, actually. Um, for the child who just like, yes, all of our clothes go in this dresser drawer, but the clothes don't get into the dresser drawer. Do you have any tips for there is a designated place,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people have a hard time getting it into that designated place.
Yeah, I would make it as simple as possible. So, um, can you give me like what is it like shirts or pants or socks or just everything?
Oh, I'm okay with those three drawers. Anything of your clothing can go in any of those drawers because
Yeah.
okay, the pants go in the middle drawer, the underwear go in the top drawer. It doesn't work. So even
Yeah.
just like clothes going in the drawer.
Yeah. I would focus on simplifying as much as possible. And I know you're like I can feel frustration coming from you. So like you're focusing on one thing at a time. So this whole drawer, I want to like I'm ready to like come into your room and help you because I'm like, how big is this drawer? What else does the closet look like? Okay, so let me stay focused. The drawer, like one drawer is just socks, but I might even have like socks and underwear as like bins on top of the dresser because those are like the most used. So they're just the less lids, the less opening of drawers for some kids, the better, and even adults. So like socks and underwear, they can be just thrown in bins. And sometimes even those like open um stackable work well for that because it sounds silly, but like opening a drawer is it's like one too many steps. You know what I mean? Like they need the most simplest steps. And sometimes it is training. So like, hey, today we're going to just like, or this month, we're just doing socks. Like, hey, you got your socks in. Awesome job. Let's work on the shirts together. And then you're side by side working on the shirts together. And then, you know, in a few more months, you'll expect him or her do the shirts on your own. A lot of it is kind of that scaffolding for that kid. I think developmentally, we want them all to be like organized, but sometimes it's just not there for them. So for instance, I have two teenage daughters and they both have like baskets that have their like toiletries in them. And one has their basket on top of the counter because she cannot take the basket and put it inside a cabinet. It's too much. Like that's just not her way she's thinking. She's like doing her stuff. Sometimes they don't even make it in the basket. And it's like, hey, go straighten up real quick. It takes 2 seconds. And then she goes and puts her stuff in the basket. The other one, they're like in the basket. She opens the cabinet. She puts the basket inside the cabinet, closes the door, and the counter's all clean. It's just kind of like how people work. So you're trying to really simplify it, especially if you have a kid who's focused on other things. It's not really that important to them. Like, how can we make it as simple as possible for them?
Mm-hmm.
And so in general with kids, I try to avoid lids, like unless it's long-term storage and needs to be stacked.
Yeah.
Like there's no lids on any toy stuff. Everything is just kind of like, how can I throw it in? Because for them to clean up, it just needs to be thrown in. Anything more than that is like too much of an ask until they get a little older. And so like, even with their like paper, like their school paper, I know is a big issue for a lot of parents, and there's paper everywhere. So there's just a box of, my kids are older now, so it's up higher in their closet, but it's just a box of like, hey, I want to keep this paper, and everything goes in a giant box. I said I was going to do it twice a year, but it's really at the end of the school year. We go through the giant box of papers that they threw up there. We talk about what they want to keep, what they want to throw away. But then those papers have a home like during the whole school year of these papers that I want to keep. And we don't have to decide about them until at the very end, but they have kind of like a temporary holding spot until you're ready for that. And then there's another bin of like, hey, these are our current homework papers that we're working on now. And if you're looking for something current, it's going to be in here. And then sometimes we'll come across schoolwork that's like, okay, this one was done. Are we keeping it or are we trashing it? And so then we decide.
I'm interrupting the episode, but just for a moment to tell you about group session coming up on Tuesday, January 16th. We are going to be talking about how to keep going with the momentum you're in the middle of. It is the new year, New Year's resolutions, and you're going strong. But what about what happens in February or a little bit further into the year? Reflect on how it's been in the past. Have you been able to maintain your New Year's resolutions? Have you been able to create the change that you determined you were going to? If not, I am here to support you. I hope that you will join us at group. You'll get to share if you'd like. You are going to be able to listen in to others as they share, and you're going to hear me teach. Say you can't join us live. This is from the comfort of your own home via Zoom. But if you're not able to make the live, you can receive the replay as long as you're registered. And this is all happening Tuesday, January 16th, 7:15 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Link in the show notes or go to changeradically.com to register. Now, back to the episode. You know, even hearing the idea of the bins, like, okay, so we leave these type of shoes out. We put a couple pairs of the other type of shoes in the bin, like very practical, but I feel like it gives us an idea of it. I just feel the creativity, like, oh, we can think differently about these situations.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? And I think that's why I love to talk about like trying out solutions. This is not the one solution. And plus, even when kids like the next month, they grow and change so fast. It's like, okay, well, that solution worked for that time period. Now what's the solution we're going to try for this time period? And then I think it gives you that freedom to try. Let's try something new.
Yes.
And then I also like, one of the biggest tips I have for just any home, is to have a permanent like giveaway or donation bin. And when my kids were little, like in baby clothes, that was like right in their closet. So just right above the hanging, I just stuck in, okay, this is too small. It goes up in here. And then I had a spot for items that were too big. But since I'm so visual, it was on the far side of the closet hanging so I could see everything, but it wasn't in like the everyday area of their clothes that fit them. So the too big stuff, if something was too small, I look over there, what's in our too big stuff that we can wear? Because there were so many times that I had like a box of too big stuff, and then you get to it and you're like, oh, this doesn't fit you anymore. So knowing like your strengths, that's how I work. I have to see it sometimes. So knowing what are the items that you need to see, that you can have out, that are still organized, they have their home, but not necessarily all mixed in with everything else. So having that like permanent donation spots where you come across stuff, oh, I throw it in there in that bin. If it's in the kids' rooms, now ours is in the garage. And so I just have a pile. And so when you're ready, it just limits the clutter of things that you know you don't want.
Right. Yes, that's good, because I often do that. Like I'll be going through things on the regular. Oh, okay, we're moving this along, but we moved like a year and a half ago, and lately it's like the hall closet, the floor of it, and I'm like thinking, oh, you said bin, that just feels so much better. I'll just put a bin even in that same spot.
Yeah.
And it's still putting stuff in the bin, because sometimes I'm like, I hate opening the closet to see things on the floor, but it's literally my spot for those things that we're going to give away before I take that next step.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, talking about just kind of working with what you have, is hooks. Like, so in the beginning, I had a towel bar for my kids to hang up their towels on the towel bar. I mean, that did not last very long. It quickly got switched to hooks. So hooks for their towels, it makes it on every time. And so like even hooks for their pajamas. So they don't need to put their pajamas in a drawer. You just have a hook somewhere in their closet, or even next to their closet or behind their door. Just their pajamas go right there. For their jackets, I have a hook behind their door for their jackets, hook for their backpack. So it's just like those command hooks are great. You can pull them off. You can start with a command hook and be like, okay, this works. I'm going to put in a real hook, just however you, if you're finding things that are on the ground, just put a hook there.
I'm just thinking, yes, and then I'll be the one hanging it. No, I have some of my kids who will, well, one of my 3 older ones would always hang. The other ones, we'd have to be like, wait, you just left it on the floor, go back, please.
Yes, that is one of mine too. And a lot of it is training. And then they were like, she was well trained to hang her backpack on a hook at the old house. And then at the new house, it was like, wait, we don't have a hook. So we're back to the training. And so it's like, you finished your homework. Okay, great. I still see your backpack on the ground. Like as a parent, keeping your expectations just reasonable, So like we expect a lot of our kids, sometimes more than just understanding that we would have the same issue trying to remember to put stuff on the hook. So give them that grace of like, okay, we're training again. So instead of thinking it as like, oh, I have to keep telling them over and over again. No, you're just training them, and they're going to get it one day. As a mom of 2 teenagers, like they got a lot of things that I'm like, I never thought they would get that, So it feels like a slog in the moment, but you'll get there.
Right. Keeping in perspective the belief that they'll get there. That's impactful, because I realize, oh, that has to be in play. Otherwise, it's even more frustrating. Think I'm just going to forever be telling them. Just also, like you said, like realizing these are things that are important to us, or maybe we feel like makes our home environment feel like a lighter place. But yeah, for our kids, they're just having to go along with the idea that we like to have these things on the hooks, or these things.
Yeah. And a lot of that,
they're not given the choice there.
Right. And a lot of that is keeping your expectations clear. And I think that helps making a list for your kids. So like, here are the things that you need to do before you can play or watch TV or whatever it is. So it's like, is your lunch pail next to the kitchen sink? Or did you hang up your backpack? Did you feed the cat? Like all these different, and so they can go to the checkoff list, and it depends on personality type, but like one in particular, like they hate being told what to do over and over again, also, just as much as I hate saying it. So if they have that checkoff list, they can go, they can be independent, they can look, they can see what they need to do each afternoon. And then a lot of that is us as parents getting organized. Okay, what am I asking them to do? And is that reasonable? And is it clear? Am I just like surprising them every afternoon? So just
Yeah,
it kind of all works together. It gets just getting your home in order helps just keep your expectations clear.
that's good. Yes. Yes. Putting ourselves in their shoes, thinking
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
from their perspective.
yeah. And thinking about like I am not perfect at this, but it is something that I work on, which is not going back and doing it for them. So like thinking of chores or any other things around the house, like why are they going to take the time to do something when they know that mom is just going to come right back around and do it better and the way she wants right after me? So a lot of that is letting go of your own perfection. Like, okay, they cleaned the bathroom sink, and it's good enough. And so it's not the way I would do it, but it's good enough because you're training them. And that comes with organizing too. Like, I like to match all my socks together, but they're, I did that for them for a while, and now they can decide, hey, here's how I match up my socks. But if they just reach in and grab socks, that's fine. My daughter, for a while, she enjoyed wearing different color socks. So she wasn't even matching the socks together. So it's like allowing them that leeway to be their own individual while still training them to be successful adults when they get there, but maybe just not exactly like you, as much as we wish they were.
Yes, no, but you're touching on something that is really important because I myself have been working to come out of it, and I see it in a lot of people that I know personally or it's or work with. But this idea that there's not the way we do something is not necessarily the best, and
Mm-hmm.
it's for sure not the only way.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sink, we ask them to clean it. Yeah, maybe it's not to the degree we'd want it done, but we get to choose. If we don't want to have them clean it, then we don't have to ask them. But if we come behind them and
Mm-hmm.
critique it or redo it, I mean, of course, I know there's like some teaching in play. I'm not saying
Right. If they did an awful job and they just didn't even try, that's a different
yes,
conversation,
right,
right?
right. But what you're touching on is something that I know, like I've literally felt this um I don't want to say pressure, that's not the right word, but I felt the importance of eradicating that out of my life in the last, I don't know if it's been a year or whatnot, that I became aware of it. And of course, it was what I grew up with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I'm doing it because it was what was modeled to me. I don't even realize I'm doing it. But how much better for my kids to not have me saying, do this, and then micromanaging or having them redo it because it needs to be the way I wanted it. And you touched on something that I feel like, oh, we need to all consider this for ourselves.
Yeah.
It comes to the way we relate to our kids or just other people in general.
Right, right. And then realizing, hey, maybe they're not developmentally ready for that chore. Like
Right.
I did the toilets by myself for a long time because I wanted them done a specific way. I didn't want them all up in the toilets.
Yes.
Like, and
Yes.
then eventually they get there. However, folding laundry, I had them do, when they were young because it's can be kind of average folded. It just gets in there, they pull it back out. It wasn't so deciding like what are those things you don't want to bend on, just like you said, and then what are the things that you can train them and kind of get them somewhere. Like it's yeah, that whole training idea, and just thinking about even with organizing, like organizing kids' toys. I think one mistake people make is including their kids before they're able. Like making decisions about clutter and toys is really hard for us. So, this idea that we're going to ask our 5-year-old, hey, like help me clean up your toys. Okay, we're going to get rid of these and we're going to keep these. Like that's just really hard. That's hard for us with our, like, think of us going through our clothes in our closet and how hard that is. So sometimes you're going to do things by yourself and like, hey, what are your, well, you know, as a mom, I was going to say, you can have your kids like pick out their top 5 toys and put them on their bed. And hey, I'm going to go through your room today while you're at school, or just like focusing on like, what are they developmentally ready for? But those toys your kids play with and the toys they don't. And so being able to just do that on their own. And then when they're older, you're kind of scaffolding with them. But like when they're able to make that decision, and maybe it's like, only 10 minutes at a time. Hey, I put these things in a pile. Let's go through them real quick for 10 minutes. And which ones do you want to keep? And so you're just giving them that small chunk to do. Because this is hard for us. So expecting your kids to be able to organize their own stuff is a big ask.
Yeah, we have some systems in place at our house where it's like, if we're going to go to, I don't know, the other day they wanted to stop by a tag sale. Or even sometimes just after a birthday, it's like, okay, we just brought 5 more things in. So now let's look through and take out 5 things that we already have. We kind of just maintain what we have at this point by doing things like that. But we have the conversation together, like you're saying.
Yeah, that's great. And just keep it simple, not like, hey, we're going to tackle your whole room like right now in these next, 3 hours. It's like, hey, pick out 5 things you're done with. That's really great. Yeah. And then the other thing I'm just thinking about like easy systems to kind of, we got started talking about kids, but to get your kids like involved, we do something like a 5-minute or a 10-minute pickup kind of now that they're older. And it's just like you set the timer as a family, everybody goes around, puts things back in their homes for 5 to 10 minutes, and then it's done. And then you do something fun. You go outside, you go, I don't know, you're done. You don't have to keep working for the whole day, because a lot of times kids are dragging their feet because it feels never ending in their in their small little minds of like, we're going to be doing this all day. Right. So just like a 5-10 minute pickup and then we're done. We're on to something else.
Yep. Awesome.
And the thing that really helps, like just thinking about just simple things you can do, is labels. So I label everything like it's a kindergarten classroom, just like labels everywhere. If it, my linen closet, I even labeled like nice towels, like rags, because I don't want my kids to confuse those. Like they have a home. And if I didn't label it, like I know which bins are nice and which ones aren't. But if I want my kids to be independent, I need to label that. And my kids like are sick of it because I'm like, coffee mugs, travel mugs. Like, well, you're emptying the dishwasher, I want my travel mugs on this side and I want my regular everyday coffee mugs on this side. Like, it just label it. And I use really simple labels that can come off easy. So there's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to label something wrong. You can even do like Post-its until you, like when we moved in, I had Post-its on the outside of the cabinets because it was like, okay, where's this? Where's that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't even remember. So Post-its on, and then things would change. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't work in this spot anymore. So let's move it to this cabinet. Okay, here's the Post-it that goes here. This Post-it's not going to be here forever, but it's here now. Just labels just make such a difference. And you're trying to put stuff away and it's like, okay, that label is telling me it doesn't go here. Like, it's just until you use them, you don't realize like the power of labels. It's really great.
Yeah, I'm curious because I don't use them. So I'm feeling ya.
Yeah. Start small. And then once you see the power, you're going to be like, labels. Yeah. So if I'm just thinking about, small ways to start, like just to summarize, it's like the 10 minutes of organizing once a week or a couple times a week, whatever you're able to do. And then having a permanent spot for donations and giveaways somewhere in your home, no matter where it is. And then just like focusing on that problem solving. So whether it's hooks or labels, like something small, what's going to solve that problem that we're going to try out and see if it works. And so I feel like that's a good place for somebody to get started in terms of like, I don't know where to go. Start there. And on our podcast, I have a co-host. Her name is Bethany, and she is self-described as disorganized. And so she's the fun one, the reason people would listen to the podcast. And so she is always sharing like, hey, this is going on, this isn't working, or hey, I tried this and it works great. So she's always coming up with like just different things that are causing issues in her home or in her life or in her paper, all the facets of getting organized. And so we're always touching on just simple ways to help you, not like, I'm so organized and I need to get my refrigerator organized too. Just like, just the easy stuff.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So anyone that's loving this conversation or is hearing and saying, I need more of this, go and listen to the podcast.
Yes, we have
A to B, right?
A to B podcast. Yeah, we have tons of tips. And if you wanted to do episode 85 of A to B podcast, so it's just a2bpodcast.com/85, you can find our 10-minute organizing challenge. So we talk about what space we're going to organize. We kind of organize it with you, and you just kind of listen along while you're organizing. And we had a lot of fun, and you can still do that even though it was in the past. We're still always pushing 10-minute organizing.
Cool. All right. And anyone who wants to find you, where's the best place for them to reach you other than the podcast?
Yes. My website is spaceforlivingorganizing.com. You can find me there, but the podcast is really the best. We have new episodes coming up. So we're also on Instagram, mainly Bethany's on there. So you can check in with her. And so those are the best spots. And I do in-home organizing if you're in San Diego. I also do virtual organizing. So if you are looking for specific help for a specific area, I do virtual organizing, and you can find that on my website, spaceforlivingorganizing.com.
Fabulous. And I will include all of those links in the show notes. So this has been great and helpful. Thank you for your time, Autumn.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you're thinking, oh, the episode's come to an end, I'd like to continue listening about some of these topics Corinne and Autumn were talking about, I've got some past episodes that I've recorded that will open up the conversation more about some of what we talked about today. So take a listen if you'd like to season 2, episode 35, Cracking Open Codependency, or from season 2, episode 37, Counting Sheep at Night, and from season 4, episode 8, Collective Conversation. And all of that is linked in the show notes for you. Here we are. We've come to the end of another episode. Sit back and reflect on what you heard. What's the one thing that resonates with you that you can take away and do something with? Let's not just listen. Let's listen and take action. Now, action may look very different for us, but it's doing something with what we hear. I hope that you'll share today's episode with a friend that you think would also enjoy it. And please come back next week. I hope that you have a fabulous week and that you remember when you pillow your head at night, when you're going through your days, that who you are is good. And I'm glad that you're alive.